In one of my previous videos regarding the real life of Vlad Dracula, I promised an episode about the true nature of his supernatural acts after his death. Was he really a vampire? And what is the real inspiration to Bram Stoker's 19th century novel, Dracula? Are the vampires real, or Dracula is the only one? Vlad the Impaler, or the famous Vlad Dracula, was indeed a huge blood lover. Before you watch this episode, please check out the previous one, containing petrifying descriptions of his nature. Petrifying, but true. Dracula enjoyed impaling people in his dining room. He then washed his hands with their blood and ate his meals while they screamed in agony. Some stories take it further and claim that he enjoyed dipping his bread in his victim's blood before eating it. And I'm done with this story. It gives me chills every time I tell it. Now one question rises. Was he even more vicious after his death? Was Dracula a vampire? To answer this question, we must track the origins of the actual vampirism. The notion of vampirism has existed for millennia. Cultures such as the Mesopotamians, Hebrews, ancient Greeks, Manipuri, and Romans had tales of demons and spirits, which are considered precursors to modern vampires. However, the folklore for the entity known today as the vampire originates almost exclusively from the early 18th century Southeastern Europe. By the way, that's the place Dracula is from. Two infamous vampire cases, the first to be officially recorded, involved the corpses of Petar Blagojevich and Miloš Čečar from Serbia. Blagojevich died in 1725, and his death was followed by a spate of other sudden deaths. After very short maladies, reportedly of about 24 hours each. Within 8 days, 9 people perished. On their deathbeds, the victims allegedly claimed to have been throttled by Blagojevich at night. Furthermore, Blagojevich's wife stated that he had visited her and asked her for his shoes. She then moved to another village for safety reasons. In other reports, it is said that Blagojevich came back to his house demanding food from his son, and when the son refused, Blagojevich brutally murdered him, probably via biting and drinking his blood. In the second case, Miloš, an ex-soldier turned farmer, who allegedly was attacked by a vampire years before, died while haying. After his death, people began to die in the surrounding area, and it was widely believed that Miloš had returned to prey on the neighbours. The two incidents were well documented. Government officials examined the bodies, wrote case reports, and published books throughout Europe. What was the conclusion? Now it gets real. The Austrian administrative from Vlad, together with a priest, visited the village named Kisilova, that is Petar Blagojevich's village, in the part of Serbia that temporarily passed from Ottoman into Austrian hands in 1718, viewed the already exhumed body, and just to be astonished to find that the characteristics associated with vampires in local belief was indeed present. The body was not decomposed, the hair and beard were grown, there were new skin and nails, while the old ones had peeled away, and blood would be seen in the mouth. After that, the people who grew more outraged than distressed proceeded to stake the body through the heart, which caused a great amount of completely fresh blood to flow through the ears and mouth of the corpse. Finally, the body was burned. The official report was published by Wienerisches Diarium, a Vienna's newspaper, today known as Die Wiener Zeitung, and widely translated west and north, contributing to the vampire craze of the 18th century in Germany, France, England, and even the United States. And as I mentioned the United States, Mercy Brown may rival Count Dracula as the most notorious vampire. She lived in Exeter, Rhode Island, and was the daughter of George Brown, a farmer. After George lost many family members, including Mercy, in the late 18s to tuberculosis, his community used Mercy as a scapegoat to explain their deaths. It was common at that time to blame several deaths in one family on the undead. The bodies of each dead family member were often exhumed and searched for signs of vampirism. When Mercy's body was exhumed and didn't display severe decay, the townspeople accused her of being a vampire and making her family sick from her icy grave. They cut out her heart, burnt it, then fed the ashes to her sick brother. He died shortly thereafter. So what was really happening? Let's go step by step. Mercy Brown's body was placed in an above-ground vault during a New England winter, so there is no surprise it didn't display severe decay. And what about Petar Blagojevich and Miloš then? Rates of decomposition vary depending on temperature and soil composition, and many of the signs are little known. This has led vampire hunters to conclude that a dead body had not been decomposed at all, or to interpret signs of decomposition as signs of continued alive. Corpses swell as gases from decomposition accumulate in the torso, and the increased pressure forces blood to ooze from the nose and mouth. This causes the body to look plump, well-fed, and ready. Changes that are all the more striking if the person was pale or thin in life. Furthermore, the staking of a swollen, decomposing body would cause the body to bleed and force the accumulated gases to escape the body. This could produce a groan-like sound when the gases moved past the vocal cords, or a sound reminiscent of flatulence when they passed through the anus. The official reporting on the Petar Blagojevich case speaks of other wild signs, which I pass by out of high respect. After death, the skin and gums lose fluids and contract, exposing the roots of the hair, nails, and teeth, even teeth that were concealed in the jaw. This can produce the illusion that the hair, nails, and teeth have grown. At a certain stage, the nails fall off and the skin peels away, as reported in the Blagojevich case. The dermis and nail beds emerging underneath were interpreted as new skin and new nails. And where is Vlad Dracula in these stories? Nowhere. Dracula was a ruthless prince and a gruesome murderer, and he was obsessed with blood. There are a lot of proofs that he actually tasted or even drank other people's blood, though everything he did whilst he was still alive. Bram Stoker was indeed a great writer. He used the Southeastern European folklore, the myths and legends about the vampires, combining them with the bloodthirsty prince of Wallachia, Vlad Dracula. The product, making Vlad Dracula and the vampires genuinely immortal at last. I'm not sure yet about Petar Blagojevich though. And now just like and subscribe, and maybe share your thoughts, to get an access to all of the actual knowledge of this world.